October 1965, the 166-year-old cabin moved in Xenia, OH. Some history: James Galloway Sr. and Rebecca Galloway moved with their family to Greene County from Kentucky in 1798, constructing their first home, a small log cabin. Galloway built the present structure around 1799 near the bend in the Little Miami River near what is now Go's Station on US 68. In 1936, the Greene County Historical Society moved the home to the corner of 2nd and Monroe Streets and then to the present site in 1965. The 1974 Xenia tornado caused serious damage to the building, which has been restored and maintained by the Historical Society. Father and son on a special bicycle in Copenhagen, 1910s, sharing a moment of joy and adventure. The bicycle, likely a tandem model, is a two-seater designed for both riders to pedal together, reflecting the growing popularity of cycling during this era. The father, dressed in a suit and a bowler hat, pedals while his son, perhaps around 8 or 10, sits in front. Beaming with excitement, the cobbled streets of Copenhagen form the backdrop, with horse-drawn carriages and early automobiles passing by. The image captures the spirit of family togetherness and the freedom of travel in the early 20th century, set against the charming urban landscape of the Danish capital. This remarkable 1908 photograph captures the Long Island Motor Parkway, also known as the Vanderbilt Parkway, with the Manhattan skyline in the distance. Built in 1908, the parkway is celebrated as the first road in the United States designed exclusively for automobiles. Stretching from Queens to Ronkonkoma, it featured innovative overpasses and bridges, making it a pioneer in modern roadway design. Initially a private toll road costing $2 to use, it was largely frequented by wealthy car enthusiasts eager to race their vehicles. The parkway was eventually closed in 1938 and absorbed by the state, though parts of it remain today, repurposed as a scenic bike path in Queens. A fascinating glimpse into the dawn of the automobile age. Look how nicely teachers dressed in the past, a glimpse into classic classroom style. If you were to step into a classroom decades ago, you might notice something different from today, not just in teaching methods or classroom decor, but in the way teachers dressed. In the past, teachers often dressed in a way that conveyed elegance, professionalism. Today, we can take inspiration from their style, which reflects a time when dressing well was considered part of setting a good example. The Pacific Highway, a road to adventure and connection. On January 29, 1915, history was made as the Pacific Highway officially opened to the public. This wasn't just any road, it was the first major north-south highway on the West Coast, connecting Canada to Mexico and uniting communities in British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and California. The opening of the Pacific Highway was a landmark moment for travelers, making it easier to explore the beautiful West Coast and journey between cities and states. It sparked a sense of freedom and adventure, changing how people moved and traveled. The tragic events of September 11, 2001 marked the end of their physical existence, yet their legacy endures. Artistic works, including 1980s paintings, remain as poignant reminders of their impact on culture and history. Today, these depictions are cherished as glimpses into a time when the towers stood tall, embodying the dreams and ambitions of a generation. By 1987, the Twin Towers had housed nearly 430 businesses from over 60 countries, underscoring their role as an international trade nexus. Public spaces like the observation deck on the South Tower attracted millions, offering breathtaking views of New York City. Artists who worked on canvases featuring the towers during this time often depicted them as beacons of hope, resilience, and modernity. In the 1980s, as the city thrived amidst a backdrop of cultural and financial resurgence, the Twin Towers became a favorite subject for artists and photographers. Capturing their grandeur, artists often painted them from various perspectives, whether from Brooklyn Bridge Park or Liberty State Park in New Jersey. Paintings from this era celebrated not only the tower's physical beauty, but also their symbolic significance as a hub for global commerce. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, completed in 1973, stood as a symbol of architectural marvel and economic power, rising 1,368 and 1,362 feet tall. These iconic skyscrapers dominated the Manhattan skyline and became a global emblem of progress. Their construction, which began in 1966, reflected the optimism of the post-war era. Designed by architect Minoru Yamasaki, the towers featured an innovative tube frame design enabling unprecedented height and space efficiency. Soup at the office, Campbell's convenience in the 1950s. In the 1950s, American office culture experienced a post-war boom, and so did the way employees enjoyed their lunches. A notable innovation of the time was the Campbell's soup vending machine, which brought warmth and convenience to busy workplaces. These machines, cleverly stocked with a variety of Campbell's soup cans, became a popular fixture in many office break rooms, making it easier than ever for workers to enjoy a hearty meal. This powerful photograph, taken by pioneering photographer Jesse Tarbox Beals in 1918-1919, captures the stark realities of life for slum children in early 20th century America. Known for her work in documenting urban life, Beals focused on the often overlooked lives of the impoverished, giving a voice to those living in the shadows of the city's wealth and progress. In this image, the children are depicted with somber expressions, surrounded by the harsh conditions of their life. This oak tree was more than 40 years old when Mozart was 8 years old. This tree was 50 years old when the first steam engine was patented. This tree was 180 years old when the Wright brothers flew the first powered airplane. When the tree was over 300 years old, it was sacrificed for the construction of roads. It'd be the safest of Leamington and Kenilworth, England. Decades later, McCallum returned to the small screen with NCIS. Initially cast as a supporting character, his role as Ducky quickly became central to the show's dynamic. McCallum embraced Ducky as a character filled with quirks, intellect, and a fascination for history. Born on September 19, 1933 in Glasgow, Scotland, McCallum developed a love for the arts at an early age. His father was a concertmaster for the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and this musical environment fostered McCallum's artistic inclinations. After briefly considering a career as a cellist, he shifted his ambitions toward acting, studying at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. His early film work in the 1950s and 60s included roles in The Great Escape and A Night to Remember, which displayed his range and quiet intensity. However, it was The Man from UCL that made him an international star. The show catapulted him to fame, and his role as Kuryakin gained a dedicated fan base despite being a secondary character initially. McCallum's portrayal of the mysterious agent became so popular that he earned Emmy nominations and made him a sensation in both the US and the UK. David McCallum, whose presence brought a unique blend of charm and intensity to television, became widely recognized for his role as Dr. Donald Ducky Mallard in the long-running hit series NCIS. With his crisp Scottish accent and warm scholarly demeanor, McCallum transformed Ducky into one of the most beloved characters on the show. Although McCallum had achieved stardom in the 1960s as Ilya Kuryakin, the enigmatic Russian agent in The Man from UNCS, although it was his later years on NCIS that endeared him to new generations. His character Ducky, a wise and quirky medical examiner, provided sage advice and a calming presence in a high-stakes world. McCallum's ability to blend wit and wisdom gave NCIS a memorable touch that fans adored. When Joan Baez met Bob Dylan. In April 1961, Joan Baez was already celebrated as the reigning queen of folk. Her self-titled debut album, released a year earlier, had established her as a prominent voice in the folk music scene. Baez's ethereal soprano and ability to breathe new life into traditional folk songs resonated with audiences and critics alike, catapulting her to stardom at the age of 19. But when she met a scrappy young troubadour named Bob Dylan in New York City's Greenwich Village, neither could have predicted the artistic and personal impact they would have on each other or on the broader music world. 4. Coordination across airlines. In the 1940s, airlines often had no direct computer links with each other, so coordination for connecting flights was cumbersome. If a passenger was flying with multiple carriers, the reservations would have to be coordinated manually. Sometimes, this meant dealing with multiple agents or handling different segments of the journey with separate airline representatives. Turner's travel agents played a significant role in ensuring that all details were checked and confirmed across multiple airlines and flight segments, which required careful oversight to avoid misconnections or delays. 3. Ticketing. Once a reservation was confirmed, the next step was ticketing. The reservations clerk would prepare a paper ticket, often handwritten or typed, which contained the flight details, passenger name, and ticket number. This ticket was sent to the customer or the travel agent who handled the booking. For international flights, passengers typically received a series of tickets, one for each leg of their journey, since airlines often required separate tickets for different carriers or connecting flights. These paper tickets were stamped with the airline's logo and had to be presented at the airport for check-in. 2. Reservations clerks and paper logs. Airline reservations clerks at the airline offices were the backbone of the reservation process. After receiving the phone call from the travel agent or directly from the customer, the clerk would manually write down the passenger's details, name, travel dates, and destination on a form or in a large ledger. They would check the availability of seats on flights, which was typically updated through the use of paper-based systems like seat boards or flight books. One common method was the use of paper booking cards that were kept in boxes, each card representing a seat on a particular flight. Clerks would manually adjust the availability by shifting these cards when bookings were made. It was a time-consuming and delicate process requiring meticulous attention to detail to avoid overbooking. 1. Travel agents and phone calls. Most people booked their airline tickets through travel agents, who acted as intermediaries between the airlines and the passengers. The agents would call airlines directly to reserve seats for their customers. The process involved phoning the airline's central office or local branch, where a reservations clerk would check available flights and confirm the booking. Travel agents played an essential role, especially for international and complex itineraries. They kept detailed records of flight schedules, available seats, and customer details on index cards or paper logs, and they used large, printed timetables to help navigate available options. Travel agents were often well-versed in the specific quirks of the manual reservation system of 1945. In the mid-20th century, flying was still a relatively new and somewhat glamorous activity, especially in the post-World War II period. The 1940s saw a boom in air travel as commercial aviation became more accessible, though it was still reserved for those who could afford it. The airline industry was growing quickly, and so was the demand for tickets. Before the advent of computers, airline reservations in 1945 were a complex, manual process that relied on a combination of paper records, telephone calls, and a network of travel agents. The process was far less efficient compared to the instant, computerized systems we use today, but it had its own unique rhythm and system of organization. Temple's life took a remarkable turn when she shifted from entertainment to public service. She became a prominent diplomat, serving as the U.S. ambassador to Ghana and later to Czechoslovakia, where she was instrumental in fostering international relations. Temple's legacy extends beyond film. She is remembered as a pioneer in entertainment and as an influential figure who used her fame for positive impact. Her iconic roles and contributions to cinema remain a beloved part of Hollywood history, symbolizing innocence, resilience, and timeless charm. Throughout the 1930s, Temple starred in numerous successful films, including Curly Top, 1935, and Heidi, 1937. Her iconic dance routines with adult co-stars, particularly Bill Bojangles Robinson, showcased her poise and professionalism. Temple received a Special Academy Award at age 6 in recognition of her outstanding contribution to screen entertainment, making her the youngest recipient in Oscar history. As she grew older, however, Temple faced the challenge of transitioning from child stardom to adult acting, eventually retiring from film at 22. Shirley Temple was a legendary American actress and singer who became the most famous child star in Hollywood history during the 1930s. Born on April 23, 1928 in Santa Monica, California, Temple displayed an innate charm and talent from a young age. She began her career in films at just 3 years old, and by 6 she had captured the hearts of audiences worldwide with her radiant smile, curly hair, and unmatched talent for singing and dancing. So, Temple's breakout came with the film Bright Eyes, 1934, which featured her famous rendition of the good ship Lollipop. Her charm and spirited performances made her a symbol of hope and happiness for Americans during the Great Depression, and she quickly became Hollywood's top box office draw. Immerse yourself in the captivating world of War and Gondola, an intriguing work from 1940 that left its mark on art history. Here's everything you need to know about this fascinating piece with surprising facts and unusual anecdotes that will blow your mind. A lasting influence, this work has inspired many contemporary artists and is often cited as a benchmark in modern art studies. It has been exhibited in prestigious museums around the world, attracting millions of visitors. Hidden and symbolic details, every element of War and Gondola is loaded with symbolism. For example, the gondolas represent not only Venice, but also the fragility of peace in wartime. Bright colors contrast with dark tones to illustrate chaos and hope. A revolutionary artistic technique, the artist used a mixed technique combining oil paint and collage to create a rich, complex texture. This innovative method brought dynamic, immersive battle scenes to life. A unique historical background, War and Gondola was created in the midst of the Second World War, a tumultuous period that profoundly influenced art and culture. This work reflects the tensions and conflicts of the time while capturing the essence of resistance and hope. Lyla Tiffany, an 80-year-old street musician, captured hearts and imaginations playing her accordion in front of Carnegie Hall in 1960. Despite her advanced age, music was her lifeline. For 12 years, she rented a modest studio near this iconic venue, supporting herself by playing for passers-by. Her stirring melodies not only reflected her resilience, but also symbolized the courage and determination of artists in 60s New York. Born in 1894 in Snowbird Gap in Graham County, Maggie Wacha, beloved woman of the Cherokee language as a 7-year-old, and by the time she was 10 was beginning to master midwifery and healing skills her mother and grandmother had already mastered. In 1935, at age 41, Maggie married Jarrett Wacha, a great-nephew of Cherokee leader Junaluska. For more than 40 years, she served as the clerk of the Cherokee Tribal Council, while also acting as a midwife and healer. The Wachachas had to walk more than 50 miles from their home to town for each meeting of the council. In 1986, Wachacha was named one of 100 American Heroes by Newsweek and received Distinguished Women of North Carolina Award. She was given the revered Cherokee title of Beloved Women in 1978. Throughout her life, Wachacha was a teacher and promoter of the Cherokee culture, and she's still known for her efforts to preserve and teach the Cherokee language and for her extensive knowledge of traditional foods and plants. On February 3rd, 1993, Wachacha passed away in Murphy. Aside from Miss Marple, Rutherford starred in a variety of films, including Blithe Spirit, 1945, and The Importance of Being Earnest, 1952. Her performance in The VIP, 1963, earned her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Rutherford was made a dame in 1967 in recognition of her contributions to off-screen. She was known for her distinctive personality, often described as quirky and endearing, much like the characters she portrayed. She remained active in the industry until her later years, leaving behind a legacy as one of Britain's most beloved character actresses. Rutherford's portrayal of Miss Marple in a series of films during the 1960s remains iconic, despite her characterization being quite different from the original literary version. Christie herself initially had reservations about Rutherford's casting, but the actress's performance won over audiences and critics alike. bringing a unique blend of warmth, wit, and humor to the role. Dame Margaret Rutherford was a celebrated British actress, best known for her roles in comedies and as Agatha Christie's amateur sleuth Miss Marple. Born on May 11, 1892 in London, she began her acting career later in life, making her stage debut at the age of 33. Despite this late start, she quickly became a beloved figure in British theater and film, renowned for her eccentric and comedic roles. The Karmann Ghia is a classic compact car produced by Volkswagen from 1955 to 1974. It was known for its stylish design, affordable price, and fuel efficiency. This particular Karmann Ghia has been extensively modified with a wide-body kit, lower suspension, large wheels, and a custom paint job. These modifications give the car a more aggressive and modern appearance. While the original Karmann Ghia was a relatively simple and practical car, this modified version is a high-performance custom car that showcases the creativity and skill of car